ready to dive into something kind of strange. We're looking at this book, Understanding Qualia by Conrad Riker. And it got me thinking, like, how do we know we're all experiencing, like, reality the same way?
Yeah, it's like we all assume everyone sees red the same way or tastes chocolate, and it's like, what if it's not?
Right?
Yeah.
That's what qualia is all about, right? It's not just about the thing. It's how we each experience it. Like, what I taste with chocolate, you can't really truly get.
Totally. And Riker, he actually breaks qualia down into these like levels. So he starts with sensory qualia, the most basic kind, right? Think like biting into a strawberry, that sweetness hitting your tongue.
Okay, so that's the base level.
Right, like the texture, the smell, all that sensory stuff. That's
Yeah.
like qualia 101.
But then it gets way more complex because the book talks about how that triggers emotions too. So it's not just sweet. It's maybe like grandma used to make strawberry shortcake kind of feelings.
There you go. That's the next level up. Emotional qualia. That strawberry is now tied to all these personal things for you.
So we're really experiencing the world through like the lens of our own past, not just what's objectively there.
Exactly. It's like Riker uses this analogy in the book. Imagine a painting, right?
Okay.
So sensory qualia is like noticing the brush strokes, the colors just like on the canvas.
Check at that.
Emotional qualia, that's how the whole thing makes you feel. Peaceful, sad, you name it. And it's different for everyone.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. And then there's that third or D level, cognitive qualia. That's where I really start to like lose my grip on reality a little.
Yeah, it's kind of meta. So, sticking with the painting, right? Cognitive qualia is less about the feeling and more like you get the artist's message now. You see the bigger picture behind it all.
It's like those aha moments, right? Where suddenly you understand something on a whole other level.
Exactly. And that's a perfect segue, actually, because this cognitive qualia stuff, it ties into the whole AI debate, too.
Ooh, here we go. My favorite. Like, can a computer ever really get the world like we do with all this qualia stuff going on?
It's like the question in AI right now.
Right.
We can build machines that process information like insanely fast.
Right, but can they feel a sunset? Or like the heartbreak of a bad song?
There you go. That's exactly Riker's point. He's saying AI, even if it's super smart, it's still just a simulation without qualia. It might act like us, but it hasn't experienced it like a human. And this is what's so cool about his take. Like, we're so busy trying to reverse engineer our own brains for AI, but what if we're missing the whole point?
Right, like can you program emotions? Can you make an algorithm that understands the feeling of the color red, not just the wavelength?
That's mind-blowing. Okay, but hold on. We have to get into those weird medical cases the book talks about, because those really highlight how powerful and strange this qualia stuff is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the, like that thing of chromatopsia, where people literally see NO color.
Their whole world is black and white.
Yeah.
So at their most basic level, their sensory qualia is just different.
Completely. Makes you wonder, like, what is reality then, you know?
Right. If my red is totally different from yours, are we even in the same world?
Exactly. And it challenges this idea that there's one objective reality. Riker makes you question everything.
It's like if a tree falls and no one's around, does it make a sound? It all comes down to how we perceive it.
Totally. And then there's synesthesia, which is even wilder. Imagine, like, tasting words.
Or like you hear music and it's like you're seeing colors at the same time.
Yeah. Their senses get all mixed up, so what's normal for them is completely different for someone else.
It's kind of amazing and humbling to think about how much we take our own version of reality for granted, you know?
It is, and it shows that our brains are just taking all this sensory data and making their best guess at what's real.
It's like a best guess that's totally unique to us.
Totally. And then you factor in our individual biology, our past experiences, even our cultures, and it's like, no wonder we all see things so differently.
It's like we're all walking around with our own custom-made VR headsets, you know?
Totally. And Riker, he takes this idea even further.
Oh, how so?
Well, he talks about this empathy gap that our different qualia create, right? Like, even if we try our best, it's super hard to truly get inside someone else's head and see the world how they do.
So it's not just about accepting they like different music or whatever. It's deeper than that. It's like their whole sensory experience, their emotions could be totally different from mine based on their own qualia.
Exactly. It's like, remember that whole thing with the dress, the blue and black or white and gold, whatever it was?
Oh, yeah. People were losing their minds over that.
And it was literally the same image,
Yeah.
but people were experiencing it completely differently.
That's wild. And people were so sure they were right, too.
That's the empathy gap in action. Our own qualia can make it so hard to see where someone else is coming from, even with something simple like that.
And Riker's saying this isn't just some, like, funny internet thing. It actually has real ethical implications, too.
Totally. He brings up, for example, animal consciousness. Like, we can study their brains all we want, but can we really know what it's like to be, say, a bat, using echolocation to see?
That's a good question. Do they even experience qualia the way we do? Feel emotions and stuff?
It's a huge debate. Riker dives into the research on animal cognition, and he says while we can't ask a dog what it's thinking, there's more and more evidence that they do have some form of qualia.
So there's more going on in their furry little heads than we realize.
It seems that way. Like, there are studies showing dogs can recognize human emotions on our faces. Yeah, and even seem to feel empathy themselves, so...
So when my dog greets me all excited, there might actually be genuine doggy joy happening there.
Riker would say it's highly likely. And it's not just dogs, either. Think about birds, right?
And what about them?
They see ultraviolet light, so their world is full of colors that we can't even imagine.
Wow, their visual qualia is way more intense than ours.
Exactly. It really makes you think, like, what don't we know? How much of reality are we just missing out on?
It's mind-blowing. And it kind of loops back to the AI stuff, too. If we don't even fully get consciousness in animals, how can we create it in machines?
$1 million question, right? It's like sci-fi turned into a real-life philosophical problem.
No kidding. But, okay, putting aside the robot overlords for a sec, does understanding this qualia stuff have, like, any practical use for us regular humans?
Absolutely. Riker actually has a whole chapter on the practical applications of understanding qualia.
Get out. Like what?
Well, it can help you in your relationships, for one. Like, just being aware that even if you're looking at the same thing, the other person's experience might be totally different.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, what's soothing music to me might drive someone else up the wall.
Exactly. So being mindful of those differences can help you bridge that empathy gap. And that's huge for any relationship, romantic, friendship, you name it.
So less judging, more trying to see their point of view, even if it seems weird to me.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Understanding qualia can actually make you a better marketer, too.
Wait, really?
Think about it. The best ads, they don't just give you info. They create a whole feeling and experience. They're tapping into your senses, your emotions,
Yeah.
your qualia.
So, like, that feeling of nostalgia when you see a commercial with a certain song or whatever?
Yeah. Exactly. They're trying to evoke a specific memory, a desire.
So you're saying understanding qualia, it's like a superpower for marketers to, like, get inside people's heads.
It can be. Like, Riker talks about color psychology in marketing. Certain colors make us feel certain ways. Fast food places use bright colors to make you hungry and impulsive, you know?
Oh, sneaky.
Right. While, like, a fancy brand might use muted colors to seem more sophisticated.
So it's not just the product, it's the entire experience they create around it that targets our senses.
Exactly. And understanding qualia gives you the tools to do that well, to connect with people on a much deeper level.
Like, good marketing is less about the product itself and more about creating that whole vibe, right?
Totally. And it goes way beyond marketing, too. Think like architecture, product design, even medicine. Understanding qualia could help us design things that are way more human-centered.
It's like we're moving from the information age to the experience age, and qualia is the key.
Nicely put. And you know what I really liked about Riker's book? He doesn't shy away from the big questions, the stuff we don't have answers to yet.
Yeah, he leaves you with this feeling of, like, there's so much we don't know about consciousness.
Exactly. And he actually challenges us, the readers, to become more aware of our own qualia, like to really pay attention to how we experience the world, the good and the bad.
It's like he's saying, this qualia stuff, it's not just philosophy, it's your life happening right now.
Right. Pay attention to it. And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating to me. It's not just learning facts, it's like appreciating how amazing it is that we even experience anything at all.
It's like the real journey is inside our own heads. And by exploring our qualia, who knows what we might find?
Maybe we unlock new levels of creativity, or finally understand consciousness, or figure out how to, like, reduce suffering in the world. The possibilities are huge.
It's kind of both exciting and terrifying, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're standing on the edge of something massive and we don't know what it holds.
Totally. And I think that's a good note to end on, actually, with a sense of curiosity, you know, and just, like, being grateful for this wild ride of being alive and experiencing it all.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, to everyone listening, that wraps up our deep dive into understanding qualia. We hope it's got you thinking about your own experience in a whole new way.
And remember, exploring your qualia, it's an ongoing thing. So keep asking those big questions, keep being curious, and most importantly, keep experiencing the world with, like, all your senses engaged and your mind wide open.
Until next time, keep diving deep.